The Manhattan Project. The Manhattan Project started with a letter from Albert Einstein in 1939 to President Roosevelt stating his information on uranium. The chain reaction of utilizing uranium can make very powerful bombs. He had suspicions that Germany was already conducting experiments of making the bombs and thought the U.S. should do the same. Roosevelt didn't think much of the letter and ignored his suspicions. In 1939, Roosevelt wrote back, informing the physicists that he had set up a committee consisting of SACs and representatives from the Army and Navy to study uranium. On May 12, 1942, he signed an order to conduct the nuclear weapon. This was the U.S. Einstein initially took powers into his own hands and wrote to Hungarian physicist Leo Szilard. Szilard was a European scientist who fled to the U.S. to avoid the Nazis. World War II started in 1939 when Germany attacked Poland. Even before the war started, the U.S. was worried about the nuclear threat by the Axis powers. The atomic bomb was researched and started at Cambridge University in England and later known as the Berkeley Laboratory. Ernest Rutherford and James Chadwick achieved the first artificial transmutation of an element when he changed several atoms of nitrogen into oxygen. Plutonium was first produced in 1940 by scientists at the University of California at Berkeley.
I have been asked whether in the years to come it will be possible to kill 40 million American people in the 20 largest American towns by the use of atomic bombs in a single night. I am afraid that the answer to that question is yes.
Project. On May 5th, 1943, Japan becomes our main target, according to the Military Policy Committee. After Roosevelt dies, Harry Truman becomes the 33rd president. April 27th, 1945, the Target Committee picks 4 cities as targets: Kyoto, Hiroshima, Kokura, and Niigata. Leo Szilard warns Truman about the dangers of nuclear weapons and tries to petition against him. The world's first atomic detonation occurs in Trinity Test in Alamogordo in New Mexico. The only way the U.S. would stop is if Japan does an unconditional surrender, which Japan rejected.
There can be no peace in the world until the military power of Japan is destroyed, with the same completeness as was the power of the European dictators. To do that, we are now engaged in a process of deploying millions of our armed forces against Japan in a mass movement of troops and supplies and weapons over 14,000 miles. A military and naval feat unequaled in all history. Substantial portions of Japan's key industrial centers have been leveled to the ground in a series of record incendiary raids. What has already happened to Tokyo will happen to every Japanese city whose industries feed the Japanese war machine. If the Japanese insist on continuing resistance beyond the point of reason, their country will suffer the same destruction as Germany. Our blows will destroy their whole modern industrial plant and organization, which they have built up during the past century and which they are now devoting to a hopeless cause. We have no desire or intention to destroy or enslave the Japanese people, but only surrender can prevent the kind of ruin which they have seen come to Germany as a result of continued useless resistance.
The first atomic bomb dropped was named Little Boy and sent to Hiroshima. The second atomic bomb dropped in Japan was Fat Man and was scheduled to be dropped at Kokura. However, because of poor weather, the target was moved to Nagasaki. The Manhattan Project ended World War II and led us to a new era of nuclear war.